So I spoke to thousands of Australians across the country about their money situation. Here's what I learned. A lot of Aussies are paying what you'd call the lazy tax. It's not really an additional tax by the government, but it's an added cost that they pay because of their own habits or their own laziness. What do I mean by that? A lot of people I spoke with knew that they were in a bad situation, like being with a bank that was charging them too much on their mortgage. They knew their rates were high, but for some reason, they just kept with the bank because it was too big of a hassle to change, to get all the paperwork, to get all the pay slips, income documents, bank statements, so they just kept putting it off. Now look, I fully understand the struggle. It's a real pain to deal with the bank, to answer all their ridiculous questions, let's be honest, to fill out, ridiculous 30-page application forms. But if you're in this situation and you don't make a change, it can literally cost you a fortune. Let's say your mortgage is $500,000 at an interest rate of 3% over 30 years and you're paying principal and interest. Over the life of the loan, you'll be paying interest of about $260,000. So you're paying literally half of the actual loan amount in interest. However, if you were to refinance and get on a rate of 2.5%, a discount of 0.5, the total interest charge would be $211,000, which is a saving of literally $50,000 over 30 years. And obviously that money can be put to much better use than just paying it to the bank. A very simple example, I get it, but it's worth noting. Throw in some cashback offers that the banks are having at the moment and the refinancing costs for your home loan could basically be completely wiped out. All I'm saying is think about whatever you've been putting off over the past couple of months or years when it comes to your personal finance, and think about the cost of inaction. Before we get into the next one, you might be wondering, how the hell did this random person on the internet speak with so many people? Good question, thank you for asking. The thing is, I've been working in finance since I was 18. A lot of jobs I've done and currently do involve me dealing with customers literally around the country. A lot of these people live in areas like rural areas, regional centers, capital cities, different walks of life, people born in Australia, people born overseas, immigrants, expats, basically everyone. I've spoken to these people about home loans, investing, stocks, their plans for the business in the future, and this whole list is basically a general gist of what I noticed. This often goes hand in hand with the first one, but loyalty. Let's get one thing clear, your bank is not your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, boyfriend, partner if you prefer, your dog, that you need to prove your loyalty. Stop treating it like that, seriously. Just because you've always banked with them because your parents opened an account with them doesn't mean you have to stay. At the end of the day, they're providing a banking service to you and you can always change service providers. I cannot tell you how many times I've spoken to customers who talked about how loyal they were to their bank and how in return the bank basically ripped them off with crappy interest rates on their home loans. Now, even though I work for a bank, I still stand for the everyday Aussie, the common man, because I am a common man. I'm not one of them, which is why I want people to take action so badly. A lot of people had no idea what their credit score was. Now look, I'm sure nobody knows what their exact score is because it changes so often. Even I don't know what my exact score is, but I do have a rough idea. A lot of people I spoke with hadn't even tried to check their credit score in the first place and they just hoped that it was okay. Now look, if you've paid off all your bills and you haven't been applying left, right, and center for credit cards and loans, chances are it's probably okay. However, I still say find out what your score is because it's worth checking every once in a while. This is something that anybody can do for free. You can get a free credit report from Equifax once per year because most banks use them, so I recommend Equifax, but you can get a credit report for free from Illion and Experian as well. Or you can download an app called WeMoney. These guys allow you to check your credit score monthly with Equifax and Experian, and this is what I use. If you want more information, I've made a video about the ultimate guide to credit scores and credit reports. Everything I've basically learned during my career, I've put in that video, so check it out right here and link in description as well. I promise it'll be very helpful if you're new to this whole credit score thing. All right, now on to the more confronting stuff. Most people I spoke with were living paycheck to paycheck, day by day. They didn't have a lot of savings, only a few $1,000s, and this is what really shocked me because they had a big mortgage, kids, other debt, and if these guys lost their jobs, within a month they would be in serious trouble. As a broker, I was trying to refinance these families to save them some money, and I was able to help a lot of families along the way, but the fact that even then they're still at risk because the only thing keeping them afloat is their jobs, and that's basically it. And the weird thing is a lot of families I spoke with were both working, right? Both husband and wife were working, dual income, and it was a decent income as well. But for some reason, they still had trouble saving. Now, this could be due to a lot of factors. I can't exactly say why they would be in that position, but one thing I will say is watch out for lifestyle inflation. This is basically when you spend more, when you start to make more money, you start treating items which were once luxury luxuries as necessities, and you keep upgrading your lifestyle until you can barely afford it. Similarly, most people did not keep a budget. They had no idea where their money was going. In my opinion, knowing where you spend your money is the first step in getting your finances in order. Once you realize where everything is going, only then you can really start to assess and create some sort of a budget, look for ways you can earn more, or create some sort of a debt payoff plan. But I think the first step is going to be figuring out where your money is going in the first place. I wish I could have spoken to these customers more about the budgeting and the personal finance and the money side of things, but that's not really what we were supposed to do in that job in the first place. We had like sales targets and whatnot, which kind of sucks. Alright, so I'm editing this video right now, as you can see, and what I've realized is the fact that all the points that I've mentioned in this video, they're all somewhat negative, and I want to make it very, very clear that I'm not trying to look down on these people at all. I know that there are so many circumstances, so many external circumstances that could have led to these people not being good with their money. So I fully empathize and sympathize with that. I'm not trying to look down on these people at all. It is just basically my observations which I saw doing all these different jobs. And also, this video is absolutely not financial advice. A lot of people that were 40 plus were only interested in property investing and building a property portfolio. This is very interesting because I feel as young people, millennials and Gen Z, we feel as if property is so out of reach and might even be boring. So we're resorting to investing in stuff like stocks and crypto because it's a lot more exciting, innovative, and of course, riskier as well. But generally, I saw that the older generation barely had anything in stocks and crypto, but a lot of them did have one or two investment properties. Also, a quick note, if you're a millennial or Gen Z watching this video and you think that property is completely out of reach, I would highly recommend looking into rent vesting. It's where you rent where you want to live and you buy a property where you can afford, usually interstate. So if you're living in an expensive city like Sydney and you can't afford to buy an expensive $1.6 million property, you can look to other states like WA, Queensland, South Australia, buy property over there, invest over there while you rent in Sydney. A big difference between men and women was that women in particular were worse off financially than men. 95% of the families I spoke with, the women had consistently less superannuation than men. In fact, according to Australian Super, women end up with 42% less super than men, and if you zoom out and look at the big picture, this is where it gets even scarier. To have a comfortable retirement, you need about $430,000 in super, both for women and men, as you can see. However, at this current point in time, both genders on average don't have enough in their super. You can see for men there is a gap of $230,000 and for women the gap is $264,000. I feel like people don't really care about super because it's so boring. It's all about retirement and young people generally don't want to think about being old. I know that's the case for myself. Therefore, we just let it sit in the background. However, it's very important to be proactive, to choose the right super fund that matches your goals, your strategy, and your risk profile. If you want to know how to compare super funds using different methods and what you should consider, check out this video right here. I hope you guys got some value out of this video. Let me know if I should make a part 2, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Interest rate is 3% on a $500,000 mortgage. Over 30 years, you're paying principal. Oh my God. Over 30.